Corps. I needed a mission, and God had already prepared one for me. We put a team together, hit the ground running, and what that did for us was show us how great the need was to help a number of girls who had been held captive by ISIS, who all they wanted to do was die. Put a team together there and hit the ground running. And what that did for us was show us how great the need was, whoever was in the region, especially for their children.
Marx joins us now.
We have a film coming out. This might be the most important thing I say on your podcast. We have a film coming out called The Unseen War, or it's our spiritual warfare. It's a series. We hope to release it around Easter in theaters. And then it's an 8-part series for churches or people at home. There was a movie called Nefarious that was, well received. This is like the next step. This is actually, from many different Christian leaders' perspective of spiritual engaging demonic activity. And again, different backgrounds, not one, denomination or this, but we come to this place of how do you actually deal with demonic forces? And then we share our approach. It's just a approach. We call it the retooling prayer that sets people free. And this is to me one of the biggest things in anybody's life is demonic assignments that will hassle, torment, lie to a person. And I'm not talking possession. We don't even use that word. But this, you can say oppression. That's a nice way where these demons lie to a person and they get assigned to them. A demon will literally get assigned to a human at certain ages. Boom, boom, boom.
I read the Screw Tape Letters a long time ago, and essentially that's what he demonstrates that for us, what it looks like in this world we can't see. That you're getting, if you're opening yourself up to that, or if you're doing the kind of work that you're doing, you're absolutely sent tormentor. I believe that, and that's biblical also. I'm glad you're bringing this up because this really takes us where you've been now. And what I really want to address with you, a lot of people look to you for validation, both in the human trafficking area. And then of course, I admit readily, just like Sean said, I actually went to your Instagram first to see what position you were taking on Israel.
Yeah.
I really did, because I know that you live your life in communion with God and you're living on the edge. And I know that people who live on the edge, as far as doing the real work, they're dialed in a way that the regular person just can't comprehend, just can't, because life's just very minute by minute dependent on what God can do and how he can protect and preserve you. So I want to go there with you as we're talking about spiritual warfare and the battles that are waging both for America and for the world. And you don't shy away from that. So I want to get your take on this. You just got back from Israel.
Yes.
And again, it's just amazing. And I want people to really grab onto this for a second. You've got a man that as a child was completely abused, destroyed, broken, and God has elevated you, all these decisions that you made, yes. And then also your dependence upon the Lord throughout your life, healing. It's been a journey. It did not happen overnight, and life is not perfect. And you've been very open about that. Again, which is why we continue to I look to you, my husband, we look to you. We're like, what is he thinking about this? Your opinion really matters to us.
Wow.
So how did you end up in Israel? And what's your perspective on spiritually what's happening there? And with America, Israel, and it's not even Palestine, it's the Muslim world.
I might get in trouble because I often do from either side of this issue. And the reality is I don't care. So that's one of my deals. I don't care. It's, you have an opinion, great. Oh, you have an opinion, wonderful. But show me what you do with your opinion that affects change. I believe that faith without works is dead. So I don't really care about a person's faith if they're not engaging the problem for a solution. It's just an opinion, and everybody's got one. So our
But you
organ,
were there.
yes, we when it clacked off on October 7th, I got a call from a special operations former operator who's worked with, and he's like, "Hey, boss, are you going in? Are you going to take a team?" I said, "I will if we get a letter of invitation from a key person or organization there, and we have access and placement. Otherwise, I won't, because we're operational. We're very busy as an organization globally. And here in the US, I'll say this: I've never been an overly Israel fan. Like, I'm not this, you know, I can't wait
Yeah.
to go see the Holy Land. I've just never been that person. And I personally saw an imbalance among evangelical Christians when it came time for not honoring Israel, not honoring God's chosen, because they are. I get that. But for rejecting Arabs, rejecting Muslims. So I would just ask everybody the questions: before God, are Jews more important than Muslims? You know, and the truth is no. And if anybody tells me different, then I'm like, well, there you go. So if that's the truth, then why are Christians only giving hundreds of millions of dollars to Jewish people to help them, but not like really engaging the Arab world? Because I can tell you this: some Jews are a lot more antagonistic toward Christians as far as Christ than even Muslims. You know, I've
Mhm.
never had a Muslim turn me down to pray for him. Not one. And that's including an ISIS fighter who was wrapped up right in front of me. I'm like, hey, can I pray for you and your family? He's like, please. I'm
Let's
like,
do it.
wow. So um, he ended up, that's a long story there. But I'll tell you, but I love Israel. I love Israel. I love Jewish. I love people. God gives me a love for people, right? So we went there like that right off the clock. We got a team together. We jocked up. We had to get body armor, helmets. We had to adjust some things. Boom, we flew over there. And our mission was both reconnaissance to find out what's really happening,
Mhm.
to find the survivors of the massacre, women and children, and minister to them. Show them God's love. Show these Jewish people God's love. Just like we've shown Muslim people or Buddhists, right? Show them love. Help them. Help them. And we were able to bring in our lion and lambs, which, Kendall, can you throw me one over there? It's silly as it sounds.
Well, this
It's
is
one
tremendous, actually. This is a ministry that you do for children everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a little lamb, but we have a lion, and it's one of the best trauma tools we've ever seen. And my wife developed them. So three things: a kid who just suffered a massacre and was out of their home and living in a hotel, villa, or refugee camp. They have no toys. So you give this to them and they're just like, oh my gosh, they hold it. Then you can play music through this little uh we call it a healing toy that's from their culture, music, and then prayers in their own language. Let me tell you, when people in Israel would see our team moving and grooving, they're like, what did you? Because people left the country. I mean, people are fleeing, right? All the warnings, get out. And here we are coming in. People would just start crying. Jewish people so humble that we came to help. So that was it. Then the other thing was I wanted to, because of our relationships and our background, we had um, great ends to the special operations community in Israel. Um, and we help with that aspect because what I realized, there absolutely was one terminal evil, and that's Hamas.
Mhm.
Um, and when I took that stand publicly what people came against me, even Christians. I love Jesus, and they're like, but what about all the kids dying? And I said, do you think I care less? And then I'd ask people, tell me, have you ever been in any Palestinian controlled areas? I have. My wife has. We've risked our life in order to reach Palestinian children. Just that we've lived it. So we still have a home in Iraq. We've gone into ISIS camps. So listen, we'll reach any children for God. So don't think that I care less about any Palestinian children being killed. But what I did do is walk through the homes, the kibbutzes, the festival area where over 1,400 people were killed, raped, murdered.
Yeah.
There's over 200 still kidnapped hostages. This was done, and you talk about a manifestation of evil. And I've seen some stuff in my life, but I told my wife, I will never wear the boots that I wore walking through these people's homes or on the festival ground. I walked through so much blood, so much fragments of human. They were murdered. They were slaughtered beyond what anybody can think. And then thank God I was able to walk over Hamas fighters who had ground up in rubble, because that's what you call evil manifested in the flesh. Mm. And you know, God told me to pray over Gaza. So me and one of my team members, who's a former Marine like me and special operations guy, we went to the top of a building, 12 stories overlooking Gaza, and prayed one night. And we had drones going over us, helicopters. So this is what I tell people, and I want everybody to know. Kids always pay the biggest price for war, period. They lose parents, they get injured. I mean, the number of surgeons we've helped with spinal cord injuries, kids being shot over this last decade, kids pay the biggest price. So if you love the Palestinian children and you want that to stop, it's easy. It's easy. The bombardment, which is war, which is them trying to go and find the hostages. If you want all that to stop, then Hamas and any Palestinian, flag-waving Palestinian that loves Hamas, that hates Israel, all you'll have to do is surrender the hostages. Right now, surrender the hostages. These are my terms that I'm telling you would work, because we've done this. Surrender the hostages, including a 10-month-old baby. A 10-month-old baby they still have. What they've done to the girls, I hate to imagine, because I saw firsthand all the evidence, the horrific evidence of them raping women, even older women, breaking their pelvics. Do you know what type of savagery that is? Then burning people alive, cutting mommy's tummies open while they're still alive. This is those waving the Palestinian flag without denouncing Hamas. That's what they represent. So I said, you want all this to stop? Surrender the hostages. Next, stop shooting rockets from Gaza into Israel. What my wife and our team there, we had over 2,000 rockets fired in areas that we were the phone, because we have an alert system, it was constantly clacking off. They're firing more, and you have to get to a bunker or, a protective area. There are times we just couldn't. We're just like, Lord, we trust you. And although the Iron Dome is good, it doesn't stop all of them, people. So listen, it's every day. Can you imagine where you lived if you had rockets being fired at you, just say from Mexico? That's the closest place. Being fired onto your location, and y'all have this battery trying to stop them. Do you know what it does to the human psyche? And then the final thing is the fighters, the Hamas fighters who did the evil, march them out of Gaza and make them surrender to the IDF. That's real justice. And you can never take back You can never recoup the loss of lives, the torture, the suffering, but justice should be had. And there's no way Israel, the IDF, should stop pursuing getting their hostages back. That's why there's a delusion on people that I'm like, are you kidding me? Just think if it was your mom, your sister, your little brother that's being held hostage, would you say, stop bombing, stop pursuing? And the only reason why they're dropping ordnance is to either take tunnels out or to stop, literally stop this incessant rockets being fired. And
Where
Hamas
the
leadership,
people,
yeah, Hamas
where
leadership
the
doesn't care.
people, they don't care. Where the people there in Gaza, look at this. Hang on, sorry. Three,
Yeah,
2, 1. Were the people in Gaza, were they warned ahead of time before the rockets were dropping? I mean, there's a lot of
completely.
debate about that,
No,
whether or not they knew.
they were warned. Leaflets were dropped. There's it's all collaborated, solid intel. Because I can tell you, being there, the IDF, the soldiers, the special operations community, the people we've worked with, they don't want to kill civilians.
Mhm.
They have no desire. I mean, do they want to kill Hamas? Oh, with great prejudice. Do they want to get there? They're fighting to get their hostages back.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But again, and 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 I will say this, because I asked people who were living in the kibbutzes, military people, what happened? How could this happen? And I'm telling all of America, I've been on all the networks. This is the truth. They were underprepared and overwhelmed, meaning their neighborhood was only allowed 10 rifles with 50 rounds each. Their plan, their worst case scenario was 8 to 10 terrorists would tunnel through underneath because it would be like living at the Mexican border, right?
Yeah.
They get through. But they were like, the worst would be 8 to 10 guys trying to come in, shoot, kill, cause 2,500 Hamas fighters, fully armed. And I'm talking everything from North Korean weapons to, you know, vehicles,
Yeah.
everything they needed to completely destroy, they had. And when they attacked, they were overwhelmed. They also had the technology to shut down the cell signal. So it happened at 6:30 in the morning. It was just like this, boom. And it was so fast and it was so well planned that even the police station they hit, they overwhelmed them. A
Mhm.
police station. So people need to understand, if you take time to watch the video surveillance, and we have a very raw, horrible link to unedited them shooting. I just watched more. A 16-year-old girl was running. They chased her. She stopped. She sat down. She's praying and begging. And the guys talked to her for about 15 seconds and then kadunk. And when you see a body collapse because it was a kill shot, it's sickening. So this is what they did. Looking at girls and kids, they don't care. So
Okay.
now here's what I will say about America. America better wake the hell up. We live with this apathy and we live in this state of that could never happen here. It's like, really? Is that what you truly believe? Because one of my board members, who's head of my task force for hunting pedophiles, who comes out of the special operations community at the level of Delta, has been in meetings with 3-letter agencies and everybody in skiffs, which are sensitive, compartmentalized information, like thick walls, metal, no phones. There's no one can hear what's going on. But I've been told, and this is what I can say, that the threat is real, and many believe it's imminent.
Mhm.
That the number of people that have been flowing through our borders, do you not think there are terrorists involved? Do you not think there are guys that are going to be radicalized? Do you not think money got them there? I never forget an interview with about 12 guys. The interviewer said, So where are you going? He goes,
Mhm.
Chicago. Where are you going? Miami. Where are you? There's specific
Yeah.
places. So there are
Colorado.
cells of nefarious, yeah, there are cells of nefarious individuals being built out. They have been for years. The FBI, Chris White, he just gave a warning saying we think there's 100 and something terrorists that have made it through the border. Folks, that's called damage control for liability issues. There are thousands.
Yeah.
So I'll say this, and this is not to bring fear on you, mommies, but it's to give you a smelling saw sense. There was a fellow recently in Maine who, former military, had training, knew how to shoot a rifle, killed 18 people, wounded 33. His head snapped, no doubt demons. He yielded himself because the evil that he did of just shooting people, that's one man. He was never caught or stopped. Never. He offed himself, but I will say this. Can you imagine groups of just four men like that, four terrorists, better equipped, who hit a mall and they hit it from all sides? They just
A
walk in and start
school.
shooting people.
Hmm.
Schools, schools.
Hmm.
Do you think a little protective police officer with a gun can stop four guys from walking? He couldn't stop one guy. Boom. Churches. Churches are the softest target that extremists, Islamic extremists, will hit. They believe we're the synagogue of Satan, right? Extremists, not moderate Muslims. I love moderate Muslims. I've got them on my team. Okay, those aren't the guys you fear. Those are the guys that can actually help you. Believe it or not, because they can't stand extremists. But here, four guys walking into a church with automatic weapons, incendiary device, people will be slaughtered. And let me tell you, it's not if, but when. According to the agencies that are concerned, and the targets are all civilian targets. So
Hmm.
just one day, you could have waves of 3 days in a row. Because let me ask you, I'm going to tell you folks this right here. Most people don't know someone tried to kill me about 7 weeks ago, right? It was an ambush literally on my property, which is what made me feel crazy. I was like, how in the world? And he was behind a tinted window in a building. When I walked up, boom, he shot at me more than once. Um, you can go look at my old Instagrams to find out. But I'll tell you this: um, the response time. My wife and me calling 911, and we live in a great area, very patriotic, was about 30 minutes before the first unit rolled up for an active shooter at someone's house. So can you imagine if there was a coordinated effort where teams of four hit one town? You think the police are the answer? 911 is not the answer. You're not going to get an ambulance. It, the hospitals will be overwhelmed instantly when there's a casualty of 300 people dead, 500 wounded, and guys are still moving or grooving in now people's neighborhoods. So that's why we had this Zoom, and I'm happy to share the link if people contact us. It's on our Venmo account of an hour-long conversation my wife and I shared with people how to be prepared. And I
Hmm.
would say this: the way you not become paranoid is you prepare yourself. And America needs to get back to these neighborhood watches, and just call it Neighborhood Watch 2.0. And
Yeah.
then find out who your neighbors are. Find out who are the elderly or infirm that will need help if power's temporary shut off, right?
Hmm.
Or food, whatever. That's God honoring. Where are the widows? The widows go, I don't know what to do. Well, I think every female should have a weapon. Dr. James Dobson brought his beloved bride over here, Shirley, and he said, "Can y'all teach her how to shoot in case I'm in heaven?" I just love that, right? And
Oh, wow.
Eileen taught her how to shoot, and she's good. Um,
Well,
So it's
those
Dr.
kibbutzes
Dobson.
that the kibbutzes you talked about too, where, they only have so many guns per people, they weren't able to protect and defend themselves. If we're just talking purely on a human level, people have to be able to defend themselves, and that's what you've spent your life doing, is teaching
Yes,
people how to defend themselves, both
totally.
spiritually and physically.
Yes.
I've taken so much of your time, which I'm so grateful for, but I do have one last question for
Yes.
you. And we could, I mean, there's so much we could talk about, because everything you're doing, it's cyclical. It's a circle. Like, there's patterns of what's happening in this country that are happening around the world, and you're, right in the smack middle of it all. When you think about God's plan and who He is, have you figured out pretty clearly why God saved Victor Marx?
Yes. The answer is yes. And I will tell folks, I literally was about 40 years old before I got it. And and at 40, I was like, oh my gosh, now I see the purpose and the pain, right? And the whole struggle. And one, I think it's to bring people hope, because without hope, I mean, you'll struggle with faith or even love. When a person is hopeless, then despair can set in. I believe God saved me to bring the good news to people, all people, that Christ is the only answer. And this is what I tell my Muslim friends. I go, do you have assurance when you die? I mean, I've been on the battlefield, like stuff raging, people dying, and we get a break. I'm like, so what happens if you die? And my Muslim friends will say, Inshallah, whatever God's will. And I'm like, can I share with you what I call my assurance of salvation of when I die? They're like, yes. And I talk about the cross. And again, it could be very offensive to many, but it is the hope that we have. And it always goes back to the cross and God. The next thing is, I believe God's placed me and my bride and our children and our team on this spot on the timeline of eternity, because I believe his coming back is very, very soon. And that's what makes me excited. And every day I know God can come back. Every day I know I could go see him. So I live with that expectancy. And men need a mission, ladies. And you need to get your men plugged into the mission of eternity and what they need to do it first at home, city, because when you have that perspective, then you go, gosh, Lord, and it does make sense. Another reason is, I think our marriage, my wife says this, she finally goes, babe, our marriage is not about us. It's so much bigger. And do you know, just us being married has caused many people to consider faith in Christ, because they're like, whoa, if you guys can make it and y'all have gone through it, but you still remain faithful. That's one of the things. And I'll end with this. For single women out there, you want to find the right man? I'm going to tell you, the best tool I believe there is don't have sex with a guy before you're married. It's easy to have sex.
It
That
seems so basic, right?
right. But I'm telling you, sex, beside the complications that can come with that, which are many, your emotions get all messed up. And if you understand your value as a woman, as a young lady, then you're worth waiting for.
Mm.
And I tell gals, just wait, and then you'll see who loves you. And stay away from nice guys, because nice guys, oh, they'll be
There's a
nice, yeah, to get you
there's
in
a
the
reason they
sack.
finished last.
Yeah, yeah, but it's the kind guy who will go, I honor you. And I'm very, one of my greatest accomplishments in my life is I waited for my wife. Meaning, once we had met, we had both had backgrounds, but we decided to try it God's way and do it God's way. I said, no, I'm going to honor her. And she was like, wow, this is, and she wanted to as well. We honored God. We honored each other.
Victor Marx, wow, what an honor, what an absolute privilege to be able to just have this conversation with you. There's so much more. I really want to have you back again talking about your road to champions. I really think there's just this is the ground breaking for everyone.
God
Thank
bless
you.
you.